Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another math lesson. Today's lesson will be lesson 98, as it's numbered in the lesson plans. It'll start on Math Notebook page 302 in your Volume 2 set. The title of the lesson is Divide Using the Standard Dividing Decimals Using the Standard Algorithm, Part 2. And again, it begins on page 302 of your Volume 2 in your Math Notebook. Today, you'll need your Math Notebook, of course. You'll need a pencil. You'll need a whiteboard if you have one. If you have a whiteboard, of course, then you'll need a dry erase marker. If you don't have a whiteboard, a large piece of paper will do for you to do your work on. All right, let's get started. Today's learning objective is we will learn to divide decimals using the standard algorithm. And you can see the standard there in the essential question. How is multiplying and dividing decimals similar to multiplying and dividing whole numbers? Everything's the same, except you have to remember to include your decimals. The first problem is find the quotient. That would be 28 thousandths divided by 32 hundredths. Remember, the first number, as it's laid out like this, the first number is the dividend. The second number is the divisor. And this would be 28 thousandths. How do I know that? Because I count. There's the decimal point. This is tenths, this is hundredths, and this is thousandths. So this would be read 28 thousandths. This would be read 32 hundredths. Right? Now, let's see how we set it up. When you set it up, this number slides under the house. I call that kind of the house. And this number is outside the house. Remember, this number is the what, everybody? Oh, that's right. That number is the dividend. And what number is this? I'm sorry. I got it backwards. Strike that. What is this number? Oh, that's right. This number is the divisor. And what is this number? This number is the dividend. So this number is dividing into this number. You're trying to see how many groups of this number you can make from this number. Let's continue. The first thing we have to do, remember, is move it, move it, move it, or hop it, hop it, hop it. You have to hop that decimal point all the way to the right in the divisor. You have to hop that decimal point all the way over to the right in the divisor to make the divisor a whole number. So we have to move it once, and we have to move it twice. 2 times. You have to move it 2 times. Whatever you do to the divisor, you must also do to the dividend. So we have to hop this or move this, move it, move it, move it once and twice. So let's rewrite it now. Let's rewrite it as 32 and 2 8/10. So again, there's the reminder. Let's rewrite it so that it's easy to read. You wouldn't want to have to try to work that problem out. There's too much extraneous writing on there. Let's do it like this. So it's zero. Obviously, you cannot make a group of 32 from 2, so you put a 0. And remember, dirty monkeys smell bad. Same process. Nothing's changed. Bring that decimal point straight up. Bring the decimal point straight up like there's no gravity. It's become weightless, and it floats straight up to the top, and you place it right there. Don't forget that. Boy, oh boy, don't forget that. What did I say? Don't forget that. Decimal point straight up to the top. And then another 0 because we can't make a group of 32 from 28. Now we add another 0. Why did we add a 0? Because we have to continue the process. We have to continue the process. Now we have 2 80 hundredths. 2 8/10 is the same value as 2 80 hundredths. We've just added another placeholder. Now let's do some estimating. 30, that's to the nearest 10, 30. And 300, 280 rounded to the nearest 100 is 300. That would be 10. Okay, so we start at that point. 32 times 10, well, is 320. We know that because 1 times 32 is 32. Add a 0, 320. That's a little bit more than 280, so let's try 9. 9 times 32. Let's go through the process. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 1 is 28. 288, still just a little high, so we're zoning in on it. Looks like 8 is going to do it. 8. 256, bingo, we're there. So we plug in 8 on top. 256, subtract. 24. Well, now wait a minute. Now what do we have to do? We have nothing to bring down. We have to add another 0. Are we changing the value of the dividend? Absolutely not. 2 and 800 thousandths is still equal to 2 and 8 tenths. So I hope you're copying all of this down in your notebook. You know, you have to be watching and listening as we're going through these lessons, making sure you're staying with me to copy down this in your notebook. If I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause it. You can pause this lesson at any time, copy down what's on the screen, and then pick me back up again and play. Okay, here we go. So now drop that 0. 240. Now we can do the work. Well, let's look here. 240. Oh, 8 times 32 is 256. So I'm going to guess it's going to probably be 7. But we have to do the work. 7 times 32. There it is. 7 times 32 is 14, 21, 22, 224. Bingo. That works. So there's the 7. 7 times 32 is 224. Now that brings 16. Gee, we're still not there. We just have to keep going. We just have to keep going until we can zero this out. We have to have a 0 down here. Got to zero it out. How many zeros are we allowed to put after the 8? As many as we need to. As many as we need to zero it out down here. We have another one. Drop the 0. 160. 160. Well, let's see. 224. So I'm going to say, let's see, we have to keep working with that multiplication to see where we are. You can't do that by your in your head. Estimation 30 divided by 150. Okay, near 150 rounded to nearest 10, 150. 30 goes evenly into it, I know that, and that's going to go evenly into it 5 times. Because 3 into 15 is 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5. So let's look at that. That's going to work. 5 times 32, 5 times, that's real close. 5 times 32 is, 5 times 2 is 10. Bring down the 0, carry the 1. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. Oh, baby, we're there. 160, 160. 160 minus 160 is 0. We have zeroed it out. We are there. We've zeroed it out. 5. And you've got it. But hold on a second. So that would be read as 8. Let's see, that's tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. So that would be read as 875 10,000ths. Again, that's the tenths column. There's the decimal point. Tenths, hundreds, thousandths, 10,000ths. 875 10,000ths. Always put back into the original problem. So your double check always has to be written like this. 875, there it is. There's your dividend, and there's your divisor. So you have to write the divisor the way it was originally written before you moved it, or hopped it, the decimal point over. So you have to bring that decimal point back here, and you have to put the decimal point for the answer here. So always put it back into the original problem for your multiplication. And then you multiply it out. I'll just move it along here so you can see the process. It's just simple multiplication. At this point, you're not even paying attention to the decimal points. You're just doing the division. You're just doing the division. You're just doing the multiplication as you're going through. You're not even paying attention to the decimal point at this point, at this juncture. Okay, so there you've done your multiplication, then you add them. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Just multiplication using the standard algorithm. Now you have to look to see how many decimal points you have to move it to make these both whole numbers, and then you do the same thing here. So we've moved it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. 4 times there, and on the bottom number, once, twice. All right, so we have 4 plus 2 is what? Oh, that's right, 6. So you've got to move the decimal point on this number from the right to the left. You've got to start moving this decimal point from the right to the left. Move it 6 times. Well, let's just follow along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh, now what do? We've got 5, but we still have to move it again. We add what? Oh, you're right. You have to add a 0. You add a 0 in there. Bingo. What can we do? You add a 0. Oh, you guys are on it. You are so smart. I wish I were there with you in person doing this. All right. And we plant a decimal point right there at the end. Right there. The decimal point goes right there where my cursor is. Bang, right there. And all of these zeros you can eliminate. They're just placeholders. They have no value. Eliminate those zeros and you end up with 28. How would you read that? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 28 thousandths. 28 thousandths. Got it. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. All right. When I say pause on your button, pause it, and hit pause and do the work. And when you've finished with the work, come back, hit play again, and I'll pick up again. I'll keep teaching the lesson, but you pause it now so you can do the work. Okay? Pause. All right, so you've done the work now. You're back again. And here we go. 1400ths divided by 4900ths. 4900ths divided by 1400ths. That symbol should be read as divided by. So that's 4900ths divided by 1400ths. And here we go. You set the 4900ths up inside the house. And you move it, and you're set up. That's a 14, so that's 49 divided by 14. Let me back up here just a little. There it is. Okay, here's your estimation. Here's how you do the process. I'll leave that for a moment for you to look at. So think about the process. Think about the estimation here. And the process here we've zeroed out. That's 3 5/10. The answer would be 3 5/10. The quotient. Remember, this number is the divisor. It does the dividing. This number is the dividend. And this number is the quotient. The quotient. Good. All right. So if you've got that, you're good to go. If you don't, take a look at it. Look at the process. Try to understand it. You've got it. You've got it. Standard algorithm division. The only thing that's changed is the decimal point consideration. Let's continue. Find the quotient. So this would be read 54 hundredths divided by tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 15 thousandths. And you have to set it up again. 54 hundredths goes inside the house. This number goes inside the house. This number is the divisor. You got to move it. Looks like it's going to move 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then you have to move this 1, 2. What do I do? That's right. You add a 0. Bingo. You guys are on this. You're on this. How is this possible? You haven't changed the value any. You've just added a 0 placeholder. Right. Now we're ready to rock. You have to rewrite it again. Make that a 15. Make this 540 with a decimal point. Okay? Are you ready? 0. Can't make it. Estimation. Here we go. 20. Where do we get the 20? By rounding 15 to the nearest 10. Where did I get the 60 from? 54. 60. Why did I pick why did we pick 60 instead of 50? Because 54 would round to 50. Why would we pick 60? Oh, you're right again. You are right again, because 60 would divide 60 could be divided evenly by 20. 50 couldn't. You couldn't divide 20 into 50 evenly, but you could 60. 60 is a multiple of 20. And that's going to be 3. 3 times 20 is 60. So let's take a look at 3 times 15. 3 times 15 is 45, and that works. So it would be 3. 4 times 15 is 60, just to prove. 60 is too much. 45 is just right. So that's 3 times 15 is 45. And then again, just your standard algorithm. Dirty monkeys smell bad. It's 9. Bring down the 0, 90. 15, got to use estimation again. 20 into 100, that's 5. Let's try 5 times 15 looks like 75. You know what? 15 plus 90, oh, that's going to be 9. That 15 plus 75 is 90. Bingo, 90. Oh, we got the jackpot. 6 times 15 is 90. We're going to zero out. We zeroed out. So the answer is, it's always important to know when you are dealing with decimals where the decimal point goes. The decimal point goes straight up. It always goes straight up. It always goes straight up like it's weightless, straight up. So now you double check. 36 times 15,000, 6 times, just standard algorithm multiplication. Don't change anything yet. You only have to worry about the decimal point at the end. Don't worry about it now. Just know where it is. Don't lose track of it. Know where it is. So now we just add 54, 540. But now wait a minute. Let's look at that decimal point. Now we have to take into consideration the decimal point. How far do we have to move it? 1, 2, 3. Let's confirm. 1, 2, 3. How many times do we move it? 3 times. So at the bottom we have to move it back again. 1, 2, 3. And plant that decimal point. Plant that decimal point right there where my cursor's gone. Remember, here you have to make this a whole number. 1, 2, 3, and then however far you moved here, you have to move here the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3. Okay, stay with that. Think about it. If you have to replay this again to consider it again, please do so. A lot easier to replay this than to have me teach a lesson all over again. I like this. Here we go. So you're going to plant the decimal point right there. And it's 54. You can eliminate that 0. It's just a placeholder because 540 thousandths is equal to 54 hundredths. Okay? So the answer is 36. The answer is 36. Drop that 0, and the answer is 36. Find the quotient. Pause. All right, here we are back again. Oh, sorry, let's back up. There's the work. I'm not going to talk all the way through the work on this one. Just watch what we did. First, We had to take, there's the dividend, there's the divisor, move it, move it, move it, move it, move it, move it. So we have 18. You have to make this a whole number. How far do you have to move the decimal point to make it a whole number? 18 divided into 810. It just so happens that that becomes a whole number too. 18 divided into 810, or 810 divided by 18. 810 divided by 18. And you go through the process. You have to use your multiplication double check. The answer is 45. I'll leave that on the screen for a moment. You can always pause it. Remember, you can pause it and just freeze it and look at it. Just pause it, freeze it, and look at it. Okay? You got it. Good. You should be beginning to pick up the process now. If not, it's okay. Replay this again. Look at it again. Here's the challenge problem. Karen had $12.32. She spent 7/8 of it. How much money did Karen spend? Well, first we have to do some conversion. We got to convert that fraction into a decimal value. And we do that. There are two different ways to solve this problem. Number one, make 7/8 into a decimal and multiply. Or two, make $12.32 into a fraction and multiply. Either way, we make them so they are both the same type of number. Yeah, you have to either be working all with fractions or you have to be working all with decimals. You can't work with a decimal and a fraction. It's not going to work. It's like working with apples and oranges. It just doesn't work that way. Since we have been dealing with decimals, how would I change 7/8 into a decimal? Well, here we go. 7 divided by 8, because 7, this line is out, this is like out of or divided by, so 7 divided by 8. That's where you can think about it. 7 divided by 8. So that's 0. Add a decimal and a 0. Bring the decimal straight up. That's going to be 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 6. Bring down another 0. 6. That's another 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 8. Okay. 56. 4. And now we're going to zero out. That's 40. That's 5. 5 times 8 is 40. And we've zeroed out. We've got it. 875 thousandths. That's right. 875 thousandths. You got it. You guys are doing a great job. A great job. How can we use this information to find how much money Karen spent? Well, think about that. You're going to multiply because she spent 875 thousandths of the $12.32 because it told us 7/8. All right, here we go. Let's do our multiplication. Again, just standard algorithm multiplication here. Don't worry about the decimals yet. Don't worry about it. Don't freak out about the decimals. Just know where they are. Take them into account. Okay, just standard algorithm all the way. I'm just showing you the process. You don't need to hear me blah, blah, blah over that. Remember to cross out when you've used the numbers you've carried. You don't want to confuse yourself. Okay, this gets a little involved, so you got to make sure you keep those numbers lined up. If it helps you to draw vertical lines there to keep it lined up, do so. All right, now you have to add everything. And oh my goodness, my friends, please remember to do your addition correctly. It's a killer when you have all these things done correctly and then you make a silly mistake adding. So please be very careful here. Be very careful. Make sure you're carrying and adding the numbers you're carrying. I know you will. You guys are awesome. Just awesome. You guys are doing a great job this morning or this afternoon or this evening, whenever you are viewing this. Okay, so there you are. Now we have to take into consideration how many places do we have to move it, or hop it to make both of these numbers whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you agree? 5 times, right? We all agree? Thumbs up? Good. 5 times. Got it. So now let's continue. Now we got to move it 5 times the opposite way with this number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bingo! Plant that decimal point right there, and you have $10.78. So now you've converted it to a decimal, but it's really converted back to dollars and cents. $10.78. Remember, all of these zeros you can eliminate. They're just placeholders. Dump them. Eliminate them. So it's 1078. 1078. 10 and 78 hundredths. Well, you could really read it that way because when you think about dollars and cents, it really is $10 and 78 hundredths of a dollar. But we normally say $10.78. Okay? Good. You guys did a great job working through that challenge problem. All right, let's continue. Here's one more. Joshua has $32.80. He wants to buy a sweater that is 3/4 the amount he has. How much does the sweater cost? Go back and look at the previous problem in your notebook, which you should have copied down everything in your notebook. Hopefully you copied everything down in your notebook. If you didn't, go back and look at that problem again, get everything copied down, and then look at this problem and apply that same process to this problem. Hit pause and do the work and come back to it to see how you did. Hit pause now. All right, here we are. And there's the process. I will simply let you watch the process and see. So 3/4, we had to divide 4 into 3. We had to divide 3 by 4, and you get 75 hundredths. And then you multiply 75 hundredths times $32.80, and you get $24.60. I'll leave the process there for a moment. Remember, you can hit pause at any time and freeze that screen and look at what's been done. I'll let you look at it. Pause it now if you need to and look at the screen. Okay, let's continue on to the next problem. Oh, closure. It's the closure problem. All right, so here we go. Closure. Pause it now and do the work, and then I'll show you, or try to show you writing on the screen, how this works out. Okay, so pause it now and do the work, and come back and see how you did. All right, here we go. Mr. Kalashin's going to try writing on the screen to see. All right, so that's 16 hundredths divided by 56 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 56 thousandths. So, I'm sorry, it's 50, my bad again, I keep doing this. It's 56 thousandths divided by 16 hundredths. So it's 56, it's 56 thousandths divided by 16 hundredths. So first thing I have to do is set it up like so. Put the, well, let's do this first. Before I do that, it's how I move it. 1, 2, 3. I have to make this number. I'm sorry, let me erase this. Let me start all over again here. Let me erase that. Let me erase this. All right, so this number being the divisor is, you have to make this a whole number. 1, 2. So how many times did I move it? Twice. How many times do I have to move this? Twice. 1, 2. All right, so that's 16. And this is 5 and 6 tenths. Because I had to put my decimal point right there. Okay, 5 6/10. All right, so can I make 16 out of 5? No, that's a 0. Remember, bring the decimal point straight up. So the decimal point is right there. Now, let's do some estimating. 16 and 56. So let's see, 16. Let's round that. Let's round 16 to 20. So 20 times 3 is 60. That's pretty close. So let's see what 3 times 16 is. Let's see. 16. Pardon my scribbles here. 3 times 16 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. That's 48. That gets me there. So that's 3. 3 times 16 is 48. Don't worry about the decimal point at this point. You've already taken into account there. That's 8. All right. So what do I have to do? What do I have to do? Oh, you're right. I have to add a 0. I put a 0 right there, and I bring it down. Remember, dirty monkeys smell bad. 80. All right. So let's do our estimating again. 20 times 3 is 60. So I can just, in my head, go 20 times 4 would be 80. Wait a minute. 20 times 4 is 80. So that's good. So let's go with, let's try 4 times 16. 4 times 16 is 24. 4 times 1 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. 64. No, that's not close enough. Let's try 5. 16 times 5. Now, those of you that are really good in math, you're already ahead of me. You're probably already ahead of me going, Mr. Kalashin, we're there. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. 80! Bingo! 80! Ho-ho! 0, 5. We've zeroed out 35 hundredths. The answer would be, the answer equals 35 hundredths. And that is the lesson for today. I hope you have enjoyed this, and that is the lesson. Thank you for listening and watching.